room with the elephants. Match it out, walk it out like pedestrian. Shakespeare, talk about elegance, real talent and the prevalent. So refreshing like a peppermint, got the blueprint. Think I'm on like a footprint. Oh yeah, Martin Luther King had a dream. I'm the one, yeah. Number one like Sydney with the Oscar and the funds up. Hands up, if you ain't scared of change, don't you change up. Don't you switch, get out my way. We see you, we see you. Black excellence, this the new way. We see you, we see you. The time is now, baby, why wait? We see you, we see you, we see you, we see you, we see you. No preview, we see you, we see you. Work it out. Back up, back up. Wait a minute, hold on. We see you, we see you. Oh, yeah.
Hey folks, it's Michael Taylor here, your host of Theater Corner Green Room, and we're coming live to you from Bankers Hill here in San Diego, California, and we're here with our co-host,
Kathryn Smith-McGlynn.
Very good, excellent, and we've got some serious.
I'm almost make it out my way.
We got incredible guests here. But first things first, we're going to acknowledge our sponsor, which is the Mental Bar, Cold Brew, modern coffee for the modern achiever. You know I like saying that.
I know you do. The voice gets extra deep, doesn't it?
And with no more delay, who do we have here today, Kathryn?
We have multidisciplinary artiste Daniel J. Watts. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
Oh, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Fantastic. And I tell you, let's start off with what you're doing here in San Diego. What brought you to San Diego right now? This amazing show at the La Jolla Playhouse. Tell me a little bit about this thing.
Oh, man, I'm thrilled to announce I am the co-lyricist and co-choreographer of a new musical called 3 Summers of Lincoln, playing at the La Jolla Playhouse.
Wow. And so what is this about? I mean, we see the title.
Sure.
What is this show about? 3 Summers of Lincoln.
3 Summers of Lincoln takes place in the final 3 summers of Lincoln's life, which happened to coincide with the last 3 years of the Civil War. And what's it about? It's about progress. It's about how the Emancipation Proclamation came to be, mainly by the pressures put on by a lot of these black voices around Abraham Lincoln. Elizabeth Keckley, who was a seamstress and a good friend to Mary Todd, William Slade, Lincoln's valet, but more importantly, Frederick Douglass, who was an activist and agitator and orator who was really, he says he's going to be the thorn in his side. And it just really shows, like, how, legislation gets passed. There's no easy road to progress. As a Frederick Douglass quote, there's no struggle, there's no progress.
Right.
So it shows that you need litigators and you need agitators to get things done. And this kind of shows their relationship. They only met 3 times, so it follows the course of the war over 3 summers.
Wow.
And you have dual roles in this production.
Yeah.
That's hence the multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be on stage this time, but this time you're not.
Thank God. No, it's funny. Like I say, this is. I would have loved to have been in this show. When I was coming up, I wish this show existed, which is also, kind of the, you make the thing you wish you could have been in or you wish you could have done.
Right.
But to be, it's tricky. 2 hats. If I'm not working on lyrics, I'm somewhere working on choreography. And I didn't really realize it. I thought it was just the way that we were working. I have incredible collaborators. Jody Pietro is the book writer and co-lyricist. Crystal Monet Hall is the composer. Christopher Ashley is director, and one of my best friends, my brother, John Rua, is my co-choreographer. And
we're right there.
Oh, what's up, people? I got the same outfit on. Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you gotta put your staple on.
Brand. It's your brand.
It's my brand.
That's
It's my new,
There you go.
It feels like a little bit like my union hat. And yeah, we're so collaborative the way we work, but I didn't realize until we got out here that as a lyricist, I'm kind of in all departments. Like, I'm not the book writer and I'm not the composer, but I'm in conversation with both. As like the lyrics and the book help inform each other, and thus musically, the lyrics are the music. So something I have Crystal compose something and be like, it'll inspire us to go, oh, we need to dig back in here and get more in the lyrics. But I love it. I'm not even gonna lie. I love the show. I love doing it. It's fun to feel, I don't know, fully expressed in a piece. So
Do they feed each other? Because when you're writing those lyrics, and are you also kind of thinking steps in terms of movement?
Sometimes, the thing about the lyrics is that the lyrics come first. So, like, I don't know what Crystal's going to do with this, musically, sonically. We have no idea. And we can never get ahead of her. Like, that's the beautiful thing about her, is that she just has music oozing out of her.
Right.
So, we'll write something and she'll be like, I got it. And we're like, you got what? Then she'll lay down this gorgeous, she's a multi-hyphenate as well. So she's doing, a lot of people do demos. They'll just do like a little piano part, little melody line. And no, this one is vocal arrangements, orchestrations in the demo. Like, it's incredible work that she does.
So, we're around theater and such. Kathryn's an actress, theater actress as well. But for lay people that are watching, could you just kind of broadly describe, like, exactly what does a lyricist do for a theater production?
Sure.
Like,
so the lyricist, there's kind of an order, at least the structure we do. You get an outline first of the show. Joe DiPietro called me, and he had done this outline of this musical about Lincoln, to which I was like, I don't know about that. Now, let me be clear. I'm circling back. I realize I'm tangenting, but I was in Hamilton. We have Hamilton. Naturally, people are going to associate it with Hamilton. And Lincoln, we think of Lincoln, we normally think dark, drab, violence, kind of thing. So I was like, I don't know about this. But he sent me the outline, and he had focused on these 3 summers and had Frederick Douglass and Elizabeth Keckley and William Slade. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, And it was a cool opportunity to give voice to these people. That's why I'm circling back. So you start with the book, and then we started like fiddling with like little places where we thought a song could go. And usually the structure is, a play or musical. You have the book, which is like, you say until you can't say anymore. And now you need something to help that. And that's where music and lyrics come in. And then after that, it's like, okay, you've sung enough, now you dance, right? That's kind of like the evolution of emotion. So the lyrics sit right in the middle of that, bridging that gap between what you just kind of just say. You have an opportunity to get a little bit more poetic, so to speak. You can maybe convey some things that you wouldn't be able to say in regular conversation. But as a lyricist, it's mostly, bridging that gap between the regular talking space and while some people don't like musicals, it's like all of a sudden someone just starts singing, but I've always loved musicals. I think just the medium, but as a lyricist, it really is. I'm repeating myself. I see that it's bridging that gap and kind of just like taking time to go, okay, how would this person speak, in song? What kind of cadence would they have? What kind of, are they more poetic? Do they speak more in prose? Do they have a high vocabulary? Do they have these are the different things you start to play with as a lyricist. And then whatever Crystal does with the music kind of also reinforces, you think you did something right. And then Crystal's like, no, this is what it sounds like. It's like, oh no, this isn't good enough. You got to go back in. So it's a game of, constantly tweaking.
We actually, and so as a choreographer, we do have a little bit of a taste of what this piece looks like. That is what's up.
That's hot.
That's how you get.
That is hot. It sounds, I hear the cadence, the percussion. It's almost, it's giving me rock meets marching band.
Keep going. Keep going. It's all of that. Like it's, Crystal is from Richmond and, so Southern gal, but grew up in church, but all of that, a lot of the music is really a conversation about blackness and how black music and black people have influenced America from the beginning. So like you hear that marching band, but what they're doing is so no matter what you put on top of that, there's always that
That's kind of drums, African, Congo. Okay.
So yeah, it's so we're starting from there. John Rua is an incredible contemporary dancer and choreographer, and we both like to merge very masculine movement, a lot of street styles, a lot of African American street styles and there's tap dance in it as well, and tap dance historically is the combination of Irish step dance and a lot of African rhythms that was exacerbated by the Civil War. You had Irish immigrants coming off the boat, getting put in a uniform and getting back on another boat and going straight into the war, and being colliding literally with we call them battlefield assists, the guys, the black men who were digging the ditches and carrying the bodies and all of that before they were able to fight. And then when they were able to fight, it just kind of just even further just made that mesh. So putting all these styles into the show and just kind of help root us in the history of it all, while also tap dance is representative of the telegraph. So it's a communication thing as opposed to just tap dance. It's not someone doesn't come on stage just start dancing for no reason. It's like it's rooted in communication. Because the telegraph was a relatively new invention, and Lincoln just gravitated towards it. So he would send messages, he would get field reports, casualty information. Like that was the new quick, speedy way to like move communication around. So we figured, this would be a good way to incorporate rhythm.
And they were both communicators in terms of being prolific writers, both Douglas and Lincoln, and how it was about, kind of essentially, is that at the heart of it, communication?
Absolutely. Like our set is Derek McLean's beautiful set, a lot of typeface because Frederick Douglass owned the North Star, the newspaper, ran that. And that's how even Lincoln and Frederick Douglass would even know about what the other person was doing or what they said. Lincoln would see that what Frederick Douglass had written about him, had some feelings about it, and vice versa. Frederick Douglass noticed that Lincoln was ignoring him for a while. So that kind of just feeds the tension. But communicating what used to be what is Twitter now. They used to put in print like, I saw what you said about the last. I miffed about it and respond with haste.
Early diss track.
The early diss tracks, right?
Beats aren't a new thing.
No, what? No, it was duels.
So we even have a little bit of let's take a look at some of this telegraph. And so we can also see we can also see there that there's one gentleman that is missing a leg, but is he a performer in this?
Yes. Oh, these are the cats. These are the cats. That's Evan Ruggiero and Alaman Jaju, and Evan. Actually, we met on this project. I'd known who he was just by way of the tap world. I've known Alaman for years, but when we came up with the idea, it was actually Joe, the book writer, was like, "There's a guy who's done one of my shows, Toxic Avenger. His name's Evan. He's a tap dancer." And I was like, "How do you know?" I didn't know. I couldn't believe it. Joe knew who this guy was. But there's a guy named Pegleg Bates. Who was a tap dancer back in the 40s and 50s. And Evan lost his leg to cancer and was a tap dancer before. And he had to relearn. And Pegleg Bates, him seeing Pegleg Bates let him know, I can keep going. So he
incredible.
jumped right back in, and he's getting down.
Oh, jeez, that's deep.
Yeah, no, really, it's very interesting because Evan for us in many ways represents so much about the soldiers in the Civil War. Like a lot of things happen in terms of like the amputations because of the new way of warfare. Bullets and repeating bullets, explosions. What used to be swords and a clean cut became a different thing. So new medical advances had to be figured out in terms of like how to stitch somebody back up.
Right.
And then it also exacerbated the prosthetics.
Prosthetic.
I don't know what the word prosthetic. I don't want to say community. Evolution of prosthetics. Sheesh. So, and Evan also being a survivor of cancer, like he's just representing just the idea of survival, all these different things he represents in this body, this quote unquote disabled body, but so fully able to do things. It's just a beautiful way to kind of kick our show off.
Wow, unbelievable. And so we can see this piece at La Jolla Playhouse from, what's the run time? Run dates? We
run until March 30th with, I think there's potential to extend again if people get out there. So get on out here. Yeah, we open officially on March 2nd, and then we run until March 30th. We're still in preview, so every day there's still a rehearsal, and then we have a show at night, still changing, tweaking things.
Well, I'm fat. I want to dive in to your journey.
Come on.
There we go.
I'm amazed at at the multi-hyphenate. I can't even, that doesn't even do it justice. Even the multidisciplinary part doesn't do it justice to me, because how do you do what you do so much in so many aspects of it? Go ahead, Tom.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening. This is me.
I'm
listening.
I'm here for you.
I'm here for you, Kathryn.
Just tell our viewers a little bit about your journey, how you got to be Daniel J. Watts.
Oh my goodness, that's such a long story and so many people involved. I'm from Indian Trail, North Carolina. I guess you start there. Just Indian Trail, North Carolina. From a single parent home. My mom raised me. I predominantly grew up with women. My mom, my granny, my Aunt Dosha, my Aunt Dottie, my two cousins, Simone and Teddy, and my Uncle Butch. He passed away recently. But that's kind of like the core. And I have extended family, obviously. But, only child. And I think that did it. The only child is I have a show. I'm sure Michael will get to it. Called Only Child. But yeah, being by myself so much made my imagination go. And I was a latchkey kid as well. So, I would get home from school, and it was like my mom was a teacher as well, and she taught at a different school up until I was in 7th grade. And she started teaching at my school, which I thought was going to be amazing, and it was not. Because you can't get away with anything anymore.
Nope.
But she would, up until 7th grade, I'd take the bus home, and I'd be home for probably about, 3 hours until my mom got home. So, and that was like my time to just kind of like not do my homework and do all the things that that an 8 to 12-year-old would do, just to like occupy time. And I think after a while, I got into theater, and that was like a really cool discovery. It was like, oh, this is, as they say, the bug bit me. I did a play it's called The Second City, written by this woman named Ruth Sloan, and directed and choreographed by Barbara House Meadows. I will never forget these names. And it was a play about a small area in Charlotte that was called Brooklyn, because so many black folks had migrated down from Brooklyn, New York, to this little area. And it was a play just about these people in this time. And I was just like, this is cool. It was like, I like this. This is fun. And one of the stage managers there, a guy named Bruce, looked at me one day, and then he came the next day and was like, I think you might like this. And he gave me a VHS of this film called Stormy Weather, which has Bilbo Jingles Robinson, Lena Horne, Fats Waller, Ada Brown, Catherine Dunham, Cab Calloway. And I was like, oh, there I am.
You saw yourself.
There I am. And not only there I am, there we are. You know,
what's up.
like in such a vast array of, you know, it was still in the realm of entertainment, but it was just, there was so much to, you know, the Nicholas brothers doing, you know, which then exacerbated, ooh, I want to tap dance. You know, that was the thing. That movie was probably the thing that like really got me into it, at least into the theater and the performing aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about, I kind of snuck and saw your big tech talk actually. And you talk about letting the paint dry, and you're not letting the paint dry.
I did not heed my own advice. I don't. I tried. I did. I really tried. And you know, I'm a busybody. I just like doing stuff. Yeah, I work very, very hard and I rest very, very hard. You know, I'm either zip, 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 or I'm at home on the couch, you know, just lamping. Lamping out. Yeah, just it's one or the other. But yeah, I think, you know, I realized really in the pandemic how much of an artist that I am. You know, I think I might have been afraid to use that word. Mm-hmm. You know, I was trying to, you know, compartmentalize, like, no, I'm an actor and I'm a dancer and I'm a writer and I'm a poet. You know, and then I was like, what if I just synthesize that? And it took the pandemic. It took me kind of being isolated and with it and with myself to go, I'm an artist. Okay.
And the business makes you do that a little bit. They make you, who are you? What are you?
Sure.
Right? So they know how to use you or whatever it is. And you were able to take back your own power.
Yeah, really, like, you know, I was trying to fit in everybody's box as opposed to define my own, you know, and I was always interested in a lot of different things. My mother is, I'll say, to blame for that. My mother allowed me access to a lot of different things. She was like, you know, figure this out. You want to do gymnastics? Cool. You want to, you know, but she also was, you know, I couldn't play football because she thought I would get hurt. You know, she believed, and she talked to actually my doctor was like, don't let him play football. You know, like don't let him play football, but football is dangerous. And so she really, really believed in that. So she kept me out of that to save my brain. But you know, do you want to dance? Sure. Go ahead. You want to do gymnastics? Cool. Sure. You want to take piano? No. I wish I had taken piano. I wish I had.
One thing, when we first met, you were in L.A. performing as Sammy Davis Jr. and Lights Out Nat King Cole, along with Dule Hill. Mm-hmm. Incredible performance. But in terms of you speaking about busybody, so at the same time you're performing the stage piece, you did your one-person show, The Jam.
I sure did.
At the same time. Now, I say one-person show, but I also need to say that you did a 90-minute one-person piece at the same time you're performing at the Geffen. Yeah. Well, like, that goes beyond busybody. I mean, this is. I mean, you are fully enveloped into what it is to be an artist. I suspect.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's funny you say that. Like, and that was playing Sammy. You know, I was reading a lot of his autobiographies and biographies of what people write about him. And Sammy would do that. Sammy would perform on Broadway, and then he would go to a nightclub and do a 2-hour act, and then stay up with Cheetah Rivera and them till 5 a.m. and do it all over again. You know, and I wasn't necessarily trying to do that, but I felt seen in that. You know, I was still working on the Jam, trying to, you know, get some traction under it, and I was in L.A., so it only made sense to me. Well, while I'm here, I might as well.
So I described the Jam, but I mean, I didn't completely describe what the Jam. Just if you could explain what the Jam is.
The Jam. So there's been several jams, but the Jam in its inception is based on the idea that my great grandmother used to make jam from scratch, and you can't make a jar at a time. You have to make it in bulk. So she would make herself a jar and then give everybody else, you know, theirs. And I've been writing stuff since I was probably 11. You know, what started off as like journal entries that turned into like more poetry to bad raps to, you know. But I was for years, decade, you know. And after a while, I realized I just had all this stuff that I wasn't doing anything with, just kind of like a vault. So I was like, what if I want to do like a poetry reading, but not like a poetry reading? Like, what if I got like a band together and maybe we could jam out? Oh, there's that word again. You know, it started that way, and then over time, like it would kind of be like current events or just me wanting to express. And then finally I got to only child version was after I had gone to therapy and realized that being an only child in a single parent home in the South kind of created an individual. And going to therapy, I equated to inviting a stranger into the attic of your mind, and you need to clean it up, but you don't want them to see everything all at once. So it's like the jam Only Child is a journey through the attic of my mind as I kind of go through some things and like let some things go.
Wow. It was amazing. It is.
Thank you.
It was unfreaking believable. And so I do mention that you were performing at the Geffen as Sammy. I want to show just a little bit of what that looked like, so people.
What you got?
I got things here. I got
The vault.
But we'll talk about on the other side. But man, oh man, did you ever bring this guy literally back to life on the stage? Let's take a look at this. That is the business right there.
Jared Grimes, call each other Cuzzo, is the choreographer, and that's obviously Dule Hill, who's just been our inspiration for so many years. So for me and Jared to be working with Dule was just awesome.
My goodness, and I'm really big on Sammy Davis.
Yeah,
I mean, this brother here is just what he represented at the time.
Yeah,
he was there, and I mean. On another level, the things that he had to go through as a black performer, he went through, so artists like you don't have to go through it today, But my goodness, you captured this guy.
Thank you, brother.
Could you speak just a little bit on the process that you went through just to put his skin on, essentially?
Man, I have angels. I have to start there. I have angels that, when you first asked me, like, who am I? How did I come to be? A lot of it, is I have angels. I was going to say right place, right time. But in the fourth grade, I know who Sammy Davis was already because he was the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland in this, this TV special where, like, all the stars were all these different people. And so I was aware of him, but I didn't necessarily know who he was. And then in fourth grade, the substitute teacher came. His name was Jim Burnett. I'll never forget these names. Older gentleman. He was a substitute teacher, and we gave him the business the first day. The business. The next day, he came in and tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, I think you might like this. This is the first time it happened. I think you might like this guy." And gives me a cassette tape of Sammy Davis Jr.'s greatest hits. So, and that kind of thing a little bit. I was like, wait, that's the caterpillar guy.
The caterpillar guy.
And so he's, I found myself in his, gravitating towards his stuff. There's a film called Tap that I watched right after Stormy Weather. And he was just, he would be on those variety shows. This is before he passed away. So he was just always this entity that I was always relatively into. Fast forward to Patricia McGregor and Coleman Domingo are the writers of this Nat King Cole Lights Out Nat King Cole piece, and Patricia is also the director. And this is getting to how I put him on. Patricia made me go deeper than I thought, because I'll go deep. I'll do all the research and all the autobiographies and things. But Patricia asked like the right questions, and she has this thing where she was like, "I want you to come in." This is like during rehearsals. Like, "I want you to come in, and I want you to do something, like an activity. Teach us how to do something that your character would do." And I was like, and I thought, I was like, I guess I can teach people how to tap dance like Sammy did. And now, but it's Patricia. And she's like, "Don't be obvious." And I was like, okay. And I found out that Sammy had, this is a very weird story, but Sammy used to cook a lot. Like he would have like on tour, he would have like a whole cooking set and apparatus, and he would do his thing. And at one point, he started making sauces. He was like selling sauces. So I was like, oh, what if I like what if I taught everybody how to make a barbecue sauce? Because there was like a little kitchen around the corner. It was the weirdest thing. Something about that activity, like putting in the ingredients and showing everybody how to do it, something started to happen. I got emotional while I was doing it. Like I just couldn't, like something, it was the weirdest thing, but it was like something about the ingredients of it all, putting something together like Sammy would do, kind of, I don't know. It was like an alchemy of sorts that was like when I really put him on for the first time. And like it was like understanding him from a point of view of, oh, he just wanted to do and be, and he was living in a world and at a time where they kept telling him that he couldn't. And I think that probably drove me to kind of do all these things as well. You know, like it's the Sammy in me that is trying to like be fully actualized as much as possible, because we still live in a world that sometimes tells me that I can't.
Right.
You know, as much as anybody says, oh, sure, it's 2025 and we're free. Like, we have an administration that is literally telling me, hey, man, stop doing that.
Stop.
And does that kind of fuel you then to even do more?
Absolutely. You know, I'm competitive. I play sports, you know. I wrestled in high school too, and that's it's a team sport, but it's an individual sport. Right. So it's really just you and this other person. And really, it's just you and you. When you really think about it, you know. So I think just all these little things kind of just work together. I'm choosing to make them work together as opposed to against one another.
What I thought was particularly interesting on the Nat King Cole piece, there's you and Dule Hill and Sammy and Nat King Cole. Dule's playing, but there's like interesting, somewhat parallels in Sammy, kind of what he portrayed, and what Dule portrayed.
Sure.
Like the straight guy. I mean, he's actually a straight guy. You know, he's
right.
You know, in his real life. And could you talk a little bit about the parallels there and how it matched together so well? You guys playing those characters.
Oh man, I mean, Dule is he's so gracious. You know, that's the first word I can say about Dule Hill. He's so gracious. Like we met when he was doing Stick Fly. A friend of mine, Zakia, was in the show, and she was like, "You got to meet Dule. Like y'all have a lot of energy." So it was very like, you know, what's up, Dule? He was like, "Hey, what's up, brother?" And then kept it moving. That was it. And then we ended up in Lights Out. Sorry, we ended up in After Midnight together on Broadway, and that's when we got to like hang and kick it. I would ask him questions about the business. He was just always just so giving. Like there was never like, he could have easily been like, "Hey man, get out of here, kid. I don't have time for this." Right. But he was just always just open and warm, and you know, I think, and very grounded. That's the other word. Very grounded to my very kinetic way. So when you get into Nat and Sammy, like it kind of just it mirrored that in that way. You know, we have very similar goals and ideas and understandings, but our way about them might be a little bit different. And you know, yeah, I love that dude. I'm just thinking, you know, just like he's you know, he's a family man.
Right.
You know, he's grounded. He's so grounded, and I need that oftentimes. You know, like that's the good counter to me is like, while I'm bouncy. Someone who's like, yeah, but come back to center. You know,
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, another character you play, and you talk about your process and what you need in order to get into that character, Ike.
Oh man, you gotta bring Ike up in there.
Ike
turned the corner on me.
Right?
Right? Oh man.
Yeah.
So.
And assuming that character goes against your own personal ethos.
Yeah.
How do you?
Ike Turner.
Let's start there.
So the first thing I actually went too deep with Ike, and it was ultimately a lesson. You know that I'm gonna go backwards. So after this is about 2 years ago. 2 years ago now. I was at a jazz club in New York called Dizzy's, and I was there to perform with a friend. Alfonso Horn was an incredible trumpet player, and right before I go on, Lawrence Fishburne walks in and sits down. And I'm like, what? What? And then I get called up, and he calls me up. He was like, yeah, Daniel J. Watts, Tony-nominated actor for portraying Ike Turner on Broadway. And I'm like, and I look over at Lawrence, and he's like, he points, and I'm like, okay. And I do my thing. I was doing spoken word and tapping. Finish, he comes over. So, so and it was really cool because he like saw me do my thing first. Like that's how we met. We started talking. I was like, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I was like, how did you take him off? How did you take Ike off? He was like, I never really put him on. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, well, the first thing is that when I was shooting the film, I didn't stay at home. I moved into a hotel. So Ike never went home with me.
Interesting.
And I was like, I didn't have that luxury. Like Ike went everywhere with me. And, and so then going back to the beginning, he's like, I did all the research. I read his autobiography. I found out a lot about him. He had a tough childhood, So the first thing for me was to like humanize him. It was, knowing that we're bringing this show to Broadway and I consider Broadway to be predominantly white space. I care about, and when people come to a show, they're looking for themselves. So the only black man in a prominent position is this guy. I don't want black men to feel like that is their representation. So like if anything, I want to be able to at least humanize him. As opposed to making him a monster, he was a human being who did some monstrous things. I also felt in doing that I would be able to also help us understand Tina more, right? Played incredibly by the incomparable Adrienne Warren. How do we understand how someone could stay with somebody for 17 years, right? What was the beauty in it? It's hard. It's not hard, but I would like to believe that there was some magic in there somewhere, that it felt worth staying as long as possible. And then when she just couldn't take it anymore, she left. What were those moments? But just I went down to Nutbush to see where Tina was from. I went to Clarksdale, Mississippi to see where he's from. His house is still there. Like I listened to the music he used to listen to. Like I just kind of just like inundated myself with just like, what was Ike stuff. But and also, I felt that I had to defend him at times. That not so much that I want, but I realized I was trying to defend myself for doing the role. It's really what it was. I was like, no, this is me. You walk out the stage door and be like, boo. And in one way, it was like, oh, okay, I did my job. And the other was like, wait, no, boo, don't boo me. Don't boo him. And it took a toll. It took a little bit of a toll. And it helped me learn, like, for all the depth that I would like to take with a character, there is too far. And, I wish I had known how to take him off sooner, but now I know when I go into a role now, it's like, boop, light jacket. Take that thing right back off and then get to it. Light jacket.
I want to say here, as we're going towards the 1 hour, if you're on the chat and you want to type in a question for Danielle, Daniel.
That happens at Starbucks all the time. They call me Danielle all the time.
We had a guest on our show called Daniel Moore.
Yes.
And
that's tricky.
That's what so if you have a question for him, feel free to enter in on the chat, and we'll try to get to audience questions while we're talking. And holy jeez. And so Broadway. Brother, you spent
it's a home away from home for you. You're looking at your credits.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll let you, is there a question in there?
Do you have a favorite? Role?
Oh, that's not fair.
I know.
Not fair.
Oh, that's not fair.
We're going to ask the question anyway.
I love it. Do I have a favorite show or favorite role? Or both? Favorite show. Oh, that's tough.
While you're thinking about it, how about, is there a particular role in the span of your career that you felt put you out there as, like, that's cemented Daniel J. Watts as a serious performer? What got you the most attention where after that things were coming like that?
Oh, well, nothing's ever been coming like that. But, and not in a bad way. It's all a journey. And I actually appreciate it. Like, I think if if it did start coming like this, I don't think I'd be ready. Over time, I don't think I would have been ready for it. I'm ready for it now, but there were just a lot of things I needed to learn about myself. I used to want to be a child star, and I'm so grateful that it never worked out. Right, you know what I mean? But I mean, Ike probably got me the most recognition, but definitely Sammy is the one, and they're so different. And I think, honestly, I think it's the Sammy and the Ike combination of it all, which shows some range. I'm not gonna lie.
True.
You know,
that's very true.
They're very, very, very different. And so to say I've done both of them, I think being able to have done Sammy on both coasts, has helped as well. But I can't even, going back to the favorite show, it's hard because they're so, I could say In the Heights because In the Heights felt like school. Right, but Memphis was like family. So I went from Memphis to In the Heights, and there's 1950s rock and roll musical into a contemporary hip hop musical based on a community of Latinx people in Uptown New York, right? And so I got like a little Spanish workbook because I was like, y'all not gonna be talking Spanish around me without me knowing what's going on. Like I like to get into the culture of it all. After Midnight was like one of those shows, the tap show that I always wish I had done. Hamilton is Hamilton. Right, it's hard. It's hard. Color Purple, my Broadway debut. That might be the one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I had to talk it out.
Your debut.
My debut. The Color Purple. Yeah, that's the one. That's my favorite because it's my debut. I was a vacation swing, and I didn't know what that was, and that meant that I was covering someone else's vacation who was the swing, and I had to learn 4 tracks in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
But it was Pearly that I grew up on. It was Polly that I grew up on. Like I finally got to be in that all black show that was just so beautiful and also telling a story that we all know and we've all grown to love. And that's the one. It was
Color
magical.
Purple.
That's the one.
We're gonna have another guest on Tuesday in a couple of days, Carol Foreman.
What?
And so I mentioned her because I think you guys performed together.
The very first job I got when I was in New York City was doing Jelly's Last Jam with Carol Foreman.
Right.
And she played Anita. She's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she's incredible.
She is unbelievable, which is why she's coming here.
Dig it.
My the most recent memories, she did Lady Day.
Uh-huh.
Up in L.A. at the Ebony Rep?
She did it at the Ebony Rep, and they came down to the Signet Theater. Also, her and Ren T. Brown brought it down to the Signet Theater. And one-person show, she's on stage, and just unbelievable.
She's phenomenal. She goes in. She knows the character.
Right.
She knows the story. Oh, she's incredible. Oh, tell her I said hello.
Okay. Shout out to Carol.
Shout out to Carol
Foreman. Very nice. And so, we hear that a person's performing on Broadway. Yeah, we can intellectualize that. But what does that life actually look like? I mean, for the artist himself, what happens like off the stage? This is you're a human. You have real life. You got things going on in your life, relationships and life happening. What does it look like when you're having to dedicate yourself to such a piece that's requires so much of yourself?
It's so funny. You end up doing all this other stuff because, or at least I do. I can't speak for everybody, but there's so many factors to just the business. Where this is actually a dual thing, Tarzaning, from job to job. Like you can't just, you'll lose momentum if you kind of just sit. If you think about, I'm just gonna do this job, I'm just gonna sit here for a while, you can lose momentum, right? So you kind of got to keep it going. So which means oftentimes, like once the show's up and running, you're doing workshops of new work during the day, So you're often trying to not exhaust yourself before you get to the theater. If you have other things to do, because you have one day off, which is Monday. Normally, that's the dark day for show. So we are the weekend. We are a date night,
right.
New York.
That's right.
So Monday is that day where you try to do all, get your groceries, do your laundry, do other things, and then you're back at it on Tuesday. But it shows the week can be tough.
Right.
because it's 8. You know, I tell people, how many shows you do? Like what, like 4 or 5? And I'm like, no, 8. 8. You know, it's a lot. It's
especially for musical theater because your voice.
All of voice, body, mind, spirit. You know, you really have to take care of yourself. You really have to take care of yourself, and you find out really quickly when you aren't taking care of yourself. It just your body tells you. Your body tells you. Your voice tells you. Like you can't do it. You just can't do it. So you just have to shift. You have to reconvene. Reconfigure.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes it means like not talking to people for a while. It's not going out for a while. It's you know, it's sacrifice. It really is.
Does your village at home, they know that? They like, okay, Daniel's in the show.
Yeah. But it's all of it. Like it's my people.
Yeah.
All right. They're all. It's not like I'm by myself in it. You know. Well, there's a Zora Neale Hurston quote is a thing is mighty big when distance and time cannot shrink it. And, you know, my closest are those people who we know. I know you're doing life right now. I know you're busy. It's nothing to take personal. We'll pick up, you know, when we see each other again, we'll pick up where we left off. You know, you have your people that you keep relative contact with.
Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're all, it's just so many orbits circling, and then they collide when they collide, and then you go off. You know, you build these, that's what's real hard about doing it, is you build these connections, and, you know, you create, there's somebody you see every day. You know, 8
that's
times
an
a
artist's
week.
life.
You're guaranteed to see this person, and all of a sudden the show closes, and it's like, oh, where'd you go? You know, so that's probably one of the hardest parts is, you know, building that community, and that community's just ending all of a sudden, all at once.
So, like most theater shows, the director, once he does his thing in rehearsal, he doesn't need to stay around.
Peace out.
Peace out.
God.
But for you having to stay through the whole run here in San Diego?
Nope, I'm that guy now. I'm that peace out guy. You know, it's like that was kind of not hard, but that was the learning curve in this process. You know, we've done a couple of workshops, and the first workshops, you know, we would sit down like, so I'm not gonna do anything, huh? I'm just gonna sit behind this table while everybody else gets to do the stuff. You know, and then but it's that part. It's like, oh, I don't continue on with this right now. Yeah. Like I'm helping to get it up, and now I have to. It's your baby. You have to let your baby go and let people hold it and do the thing for you. So it's been a learning curve. Yeah. You know, with the art.
And you know what? I know that we're all things theater here, but you know the green room is for all artists, right? So the Penguin. Yeah. Can we jump into that a little bit?
Jump to the Penguin, yeah.
Because Penguin is theater in itself, I think. You know, it's that kind of show on television where you can kind of bring your theater chops to it.
Yeah.
And create that world.
Penguin was a master class of watching. I'm just being honest. Like to work with Colin Farrell in that way, just to just watch him. Like I didn't meet Colin until the premiere. I only saw Colin in his full regalia, you know, and he would stay in character for the most part. Every once in a while, he'd jump into the Irish, and then we'd be like, wait, wait, I forgot. But man, also just that that's probably the best number one on a TV show that I've worked on. You know, just the way he worked, the way he knew everybody's name. There's 900 people on set. He knew everybody's name. He would talk to them. He was just very kind and considerate, but also dedicated and in it. That was school too. That was like going to school and just kind of just like, oh, okay, let me reapproach. About this line I'm about to say. I gotta say this line, Colin Farrell. I gotta say it right. You know, yeah, it was cool. And Penguin is really well written. And you know, I didn't know everything because it's DC, so they were like, "This is what you need to know. This is your scenes." Yeah, that's it. So it wasn't until I saw it that I was like, "Oh, this is tough. This is actually. I gotta sit down and watch this. I can't just put this on and like do some other stuff." Like it had me, Kristen Milioti, like there's incredible performances. Like I'm so excited for them and like the love that the show's getting. It's really cool.
Do you think you'll do more television and film? Or?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully The Chi is gonna kick back up soon. Right. We got The Chi coming out. Right. Can I say when The Chi's coming? I don't know if I can. Never mind. Lena, don't get on me. I can't. Don't get on me. Exclusive. Season 7 of The Chi is coming. It is coming. I don't know. I can't remember what's been said. So that's all I'm gonna say though. Hopefully we'll see Pastor Zeke again.
All right.
Very good. And so now you're kind of a veteran now. You're a vet at this stuff. So
My salt and pepper showing.
So, for young actors that will watch this, what piece of wisdom, what piece of sage could you pass on to them? Young actors that are trying to make it, trying to get developed, get started. If their interest is musical theater, or what piece of knowledge would you say to? And at the same time, you're speaking to these young actors. Let's say you're speaking to your 18-year-old Daniel J. Watts.
It's Alton Fitzgerald White, who was an actor. We actually worked together on The Color Purple. But I met him when he was doing Lion King. I was still in college. But one thing he said to me, he was like, "Dream big, because dreaming is free." And I've never forgotten that. That's the thing. Dream as big as you possibly can. So what if it doesn't come to fruition? But just take the time to dream, because I think Broadway was my dream. And then I got there at 25, 24. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now what? I was like, I didn't dream big enough. Wait a minute. I just knew I wasn't going to hit Broadway until I was like 40, 50. Like, that's just what I thought. That's just what I thought. I had met a guy who made his Broadway debut he was like 45 or something. It's like, oh, that's how it goes. You just working, you figure it out. So, yeah, dream big and just keep going.
Wow. It's would you say if your dream doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough?
Nah, it's not big enough. Nah, you need the scary dreams like those. Yeah, not this little piddly, no little piddly dreams. I'm talking about big, magnanimous. Like, I don't know if I could do that even if it came dream.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. And so again, we're 3 summers of Lincoln at the La Jolla Playhouse, where Daniel J. Watts is the lyricist, choreographer, motivator.
Yes. And do we know if the future of 3 Summers of Lincoln?
We always dream. There's that word again. We have big Broadway dreams. But truthfully, it really is about La Jolla. Like, not even just to be funny. Course. It really is about, like, this was our opportunity. This is our first time putting it on its feet. Like
ever.
Like, there's been like a workshop here, but just like at music stands, and like we did like a choreography workshop, but just with 10 people who are not in the show. This is
a real sneak peek.
This is a world premiere. You are seeing it. If you've seen the show between this past Tuesday up until March 2nd, you will see something that has never happened before, because we're still tweaking it and changing it and figuring things out. So. Yeah, come on down. Help us figure this thing out.
For the excitement,
please.
Incredible. And so before we close, we want to do like a special shout out to someone who helped make this interview happen, and that's Becky. And so
come on, Becky.
we want to say thank you so much to Becky. Becky's like one of those people that's behind the scenes that's keeping things moving forward.
Absolutely.
But people don't see, people don't know, so we want to say a special thank you to Becky, because your awesomeness, that's what you are.
I love that. Thank you, Becky.
Absolutely. And so there we go. And what were the dates again on the run of the show for?
We are running right now through March 30th.
Okay.
Running through March 30th. You started previews on February
18th.
Thank you. I was like, what? I don't know what day it is now. But yes. And we open officially March 2nd, and then we run through March 30th.
It is so nice that theater is back. Because I'm old enough to remember the pandemic.
Which one?
Oh, man. Oh, no.
I remember when things were looking bleak. And theaters were like hanging on for dear life, and there was nothing, and it was a slow march back to life. And now it made me think about it when you said the dates. It's running until March. It's a full run. Theater is back, and it's back stronger than ever. I think.
I agree.
I think the pandemic. You don't know what you have until it's gone. right? And I think, in losing it, we realized how valuable and how precious it was. Once we got, everything was digital and screens for so long. It's like, it's refreshing to actually, now that we're not scared of each other anymore, to
The connection.
right, connection, and to sit in a space with total strangers and like witness the story that, that's funny to you, but okay, interesting. Just you learn about one another in a space like that.
Right.
There's something to be said about a communal experience when everyone is experiencing the story at the same time.
In real time. And you never know what's gonna happen on that stage. Somebody flubs a line, some technical difficulty, somebody sings it in a way that they've never sang it before. It's really cool to like watch every night to see how the show is evolving, how audiences are responding to it, how find what the actors are finding little nuances. It's really cool.
What's the biggest blooper you've ever had on stage?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh man, we call it the white room, which is when your lines just vanish. And what was that? Susan Lloyd Parks' play, "The Death of the Last Black Man in the Whole Entire World." It has very, very, very difficult, interesting language that also repeats, and I got lost. I was in that white room. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't touch anything. Like, it was just lost. And you kind of it feels like an eternity. It's probably like 5 seconds, but it feels like forever.
Was anyone able to save you, or you just?
Oh, sure. Well, let me think. Hold on, because I can't remember what happened. I had to save myself in that one. There's no one to save me. But there's another show called World Inside a Loop, where Sherry Renee Scott, her character, was talking to my character, who was pretending to be a hairdresser at the time, her hairdresser. And she said her line, and I couldn't figure out what my line was, and I was like, I looked at her, I said, huh? She said her line again, and there was a long pause, and I just said, I don't know what that means. And I walked away, and the rest of the company was just shoulders up and down. And she had to save it. I could not save it. I had nothing for her. I was like, I don't know what that means. Help me.
Best kind of scene partner.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that means. So find something else. Give me something to work with, ma'am.
Holy jeez. Man, Daniel J. Watts, it has been an absolute pleasure to see you again, brother.
You too, brother.
My goodness, it's been a minute.
It has. Wow, it's been like 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we went through pandemic time more.
Right, so that's 30.
That's 30.
30 by itself.
Right. And so we hate to let you go, but there's 2 shows today. And
there are 2 shows.
You gotta get going back.
Gotta go check it out.
But thank you so much, brother, for coming down. To our little humble space.
No, my pleasure.
And chatting and talking theater with us. I love it.
Don't let this man fool you. It is not humble in here. There are gadgets and gizmos aplenty. He is running around, switching this switch, flipping this camera, doing it. Yeah, it is not humble in here.
Wow. All right. And so, also, if you folks want to see the interview on Theater Corner, he was a guest on Theater Corner back in the day when he was performing at the Geffen and Lights Out. You can go to the PBS app and just type in Theater Corner, and the show will come up. And go to season number 1, and then you'll see the interview with Dule Hill and Daniel J. Watts.
Inaugural season.
That's right. The inaugural season, man. And so, very good, man. And before we close out, I want to acknowledge Workaholic Cold Brew from the Mental Bar, modern coffee for the modern achiever.
That bass.
I'm trying to bring sexy back.
I like it. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can't say it like this. Your modern coffee for the modern achiever. That's not gonna do it.
It just don't hit the
It
same.
doesn't hit the same.
It doesn't hit the same.
Yeah, you gotta drop into that modern achiever.
I love it, man. And I love you, brother. I
You too,
appreciate
brother.
you. Just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you, viewers, for tuning into another episode of Theater Corner Green Room. And we will see you next time.
Next time.